Hi, I'm Miss Maggie, and I am a friend of your teachers. And today I want to talk a little bit about comparing the traits of two people or comparing the traits of two characters. Basically, when we read books with characters in them or meet people in the world, we can ask ourselves, what kind of person are they? And when we think about words like that, kind, brave, bossy, right? Those are traits. And so I wanted to share a little bit of work that I was doing before I got here to teach you. And I read two different articles, one on Jane Goodall. She is a champion and activist for animals and the environment. And I also read an article about Amelia Earhart. She was this incredible explorer who both flew like across our country and across the oceans, like one of the first people to do that. And she dreamt of flying around the world all by herself, the first female to do that. And one thing I did as I was reading is I was thinking about, well, what do these two women like or love? What are the accomplishments of these two people? And what were the dreams or the hopes of those two people? And when I thought in those categories, what did they both like? What did they both achieve or accomplish? What were their dreams and hopes? I then could list that out from my reading and ask myself, what kind of person is this? Right? So check it out. Okay. So the yellow is Jane Goodall and the orange is Amelia Earhart. So I learned in my reading that Jane loved learning about animals ever since she was a little girl. She would read books about animals, she would visit zoos. And what I learned about Amelia Earhart is that she loved flying, she loved exploring, and she loved learning. And so I want to ask myself, okay, what kind of person is this, right? What kind of person, how could I describe them? It's not a mean person, right? It's not a bossy person. I was thinking, this really shows me that this is a curious person, right? Someone who's learning about animals and reading up on animals and visiting zoos, and someone who loves learning and exploring and flying. You know, this is not a boring person or maybe even a lazy person. This is an adventurous person. Okay, do you see how I did that? I read about two people or two characters. I asked myself, well, what do they both like? And I listed it out on my Post-it, but you could list it out across your fingers. And then I just asked myself this question: what kind of person is this? And then a something person. Okay, let's do a couple more. So you could also read and list out their accomplishments, what awards or I don't know, how else could I say accomplishments? What you gain, what you get, a goal that you meet, something that you do or create that makes a difference. And so Jane Goodall, she has written so many books. She was awarded the UN Messenger of Peace Award, which is a really big deal. And she gives speeches all the time to big audiences to protect animals. What kind of person is this? How would I describe a person who does those things? See if you can think about a word in your mind. Thumbs up when you have one. I thought mine was caring, right? Someone who gives speeches about protecting animals, someone who wants to spread peace all around the world. That's not an uncaring person, right? That's a caring person. And if you look at Amelia Earhart, she earned her pilot's license when no other women were doing that. And she flew across the United States alone. She also flew across the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And friends, this was years and years ago, way before there was Delta Airlines. And so if I think about that, what kind of person earns their pilot's license when no one else is, or what kind of person flies alone across the oceans? Yeah, I absolutely said brave. This is not a timid or shy person, right? This is someone who has a lot of bravery. The other thing you can do is you can ask, well, as you read, like think about, well, what are the person's or character's hopes and dreams? Like Jane really dreamt and hoped that she could help animals in the environment, and she really wants to share her love of chimpanzees, chimps. And Amelia Earhart, she really wanted to be the first woman to fly around the world. Like that was her biggest hope. And friends, like she almost made it. You need to read more about Amelia Earhart if you don't know her story. She almost made it all around the world, but then something happened. I won't tell you. You can do your own reading or research to find out. So what kind of person is someone who wants to help animals and wants to share their love of chimpanzees? Yeah, I said a kind person. This is someone with like a big, kind, open, warm heart. And what kind of person is a kind of person who wants to be the first woman to fly all around the world? Pretty determined. That's the word I used, right? I could also use the word like focused or driven, but you have to be pretty determined if you want to like fly around the world by yourself when no one else is doing that. So friends, I think you're going to be doing some of your own reading and your own discovery of reading about two people or two characters. And you might be thinking, well, how could I talk about the same or the different traits that they have, right? So my tip to you is you could think about, well, list out what they like or love, and then ask yourself, what kind of person is this? You could list out their accomplishments or the goals they met or the awards they received. And then you can ask yourself, what kind of person is this? Lastly, you can look at their hopes and dreams, list those across your fingers, and then ask yourself, what kind of person is this? Happy reading.